Hey guys, welcome back to the Cult Classic Kid Show, and today we have to expose some hypocrisy, man, and admittedly so. It's simply because I'm extremely petty, and that's honestly what I'm admitting to, and I'm running with it because, well, it is ironic. It is ironic, and I thank Baldur's Gate 3 for coming out as soon as it did because it really did such a great job of exposing such hypocrisy in the West. Now, to kind of just bring everything full circle, about 2 or so weeks ago, I made a video, and the title of that video is I Say No to Ugly, Old, and Fat Female Video Game Characters. And the reason why I made that video is because it's sort of being normalized in the West to depict women, and if they be ugly, fat, or old looking, they all must be depicted in this way, it seems like, more often than not. And I bring this up in the video because, well, there's been a lot of female character reveals over the past, couple of months or so, in which Western video game characters, they're looking horrendous. It is a normalized thing, and it's defended. And while the mass majority of people that watched the video and did comment, they agreed with me, there was definitely some pushback there, and a lot of it was very refusing to understand, refusing to sympathize. You have to understand, I was being called an incel. I was being called, my sexuality was being questioned, all sorts of crazy things, just simply because I stated I don't want to play as ugly characters, but specifically the characters that are being targeted to be uglified are women. So with that, this immense disrespect, instead of having like an honest conversation over basically what used to be the norm, we used to get video game characters, both male and female, that would be awesome to play as, that we would enjoy playing as, that we thought were cool, that we thought were badass, that we thought were beautiful, that we thought were handsome. This was the norm. All I was simply asking is, I just want this, what we had before to be the norm. I don't want just male video game characters to be like that are, playable characters or even side characters to be the ones that all look that all look cool, and then women look atrocious, like absolutely horrid, rancid characters that I don't want to play as. I want to be inspired to play as these female characters. If it be because they are badass, they are cool, they are beautiful, or they are, extraordinary in some way. I don't want a female character that you're trying to force me to play as, or for them to be around my character and they be an important integral part of the story. I don't want them to look like my middle-aged neighbor. That was really the sentiment of my video, and if you want to go check that out, please do so. To me, it's not something to have the pushback that I did get, but unfortunately, there are a lot of people that don't want to accept the reality that things have changed over the years for the worse, and taking a character that has a model, that actually has a real life model, and the developers purposely taking that model, creating a character out of them, and then purposely uglifying the character is insane to me. It's pointless. Why don't you just get somebody that's less visually appealing and then model the character after them? I have so many questions here, and people just make people that are against it, against me, just made excuses. But gotta point out the hypocrisy, because some of these same individuals that judge me um are basically doing some really, really weird stuff in Baldur's Gate, because there is a lot of kink-oriented, extreme, strange, gratuitous sex scenes in Baldur's Gate. And a lot of these individuals, these same types of individuals that call me an incel, question my sexuality, are blatantly disrespectful towards me, engage in a lot of this kink-oriented, weird, gratuitous sex acts in Baldur's Gate. And people, some of you guys may be asking, well, Cass, why do you have a problem with that in Baldur's Gate 3? Just to make it clear, I don't have a problem with that. If that's what you want to do, hey, go for it, man. If that's what the developers want to make, I'm not here to tell them they're not allowed to make that. I'm not here to play police. It's the people that dislike my thoughts on, the uglification of women in Western video games that I'm simply just bringing up the fact that they're hypocritical fuckheads. That's really all it boils down to. So I don't have a problem with these things in Baldur's Gate 3. If that's what you want to, get into, if that's what the developers want to create, hey man, go for it at the end of the day. As long as the game is appropriately rated, then have at it, man. Have fun. Would I engage in some of the weird, strange kink sex acts that are available from what I've seen in Baldur's Gate 3, given that's the only thing that some of these strange individuals only want to talk about with the game? No, personally, I would not engage in some of these, but hey, it's cool that it's there. If people want to engage with it, hey, go for it. It's all choice at the end of the day when it comes to Baldur's Gate 3 being a very choice-oriented role-playing game. And that's cool. But for these individuals to engage in this and then have a problem with me pointing out that, yeah, women in Western video games are horrendous looking nowadays. Can we go back to like female video game characters actually looking cool again and badass again? Oh no, that's a problem. Oh, I'm getting tomatoes thrown at me. Okay, but let us dive into some of the thoughts that other individuals have because, well, I'm not the only one to bring this up and to question this, but this individual here, Ministry of Otaku, and mind you, I don't agree with everything that they're saying, but the sentiment still stands. They say worthless game journalists focus all of their coverage on Baldur's Gate 3 on male sexuality and none about gameplay or plot. And it's true. Article after article is talking about sex in these video games. And some of these same journalists are really quick to dump on Rockstar for sex and making fun of sex and their depictions of women and blah blah blah. When it's like, you guys are kind of the weird ones. You guys are the obsessed ones. You guys calling us gamers incels just because, well, we like anime or we like Eastern video games. We like Bayonetta. That's one that game journalists have been dogging for years. Bayonetta is one of the best female video game characters, but also best video game characters ever created by a woman, mind you. And she is a very, very, very badass, proud, sexy female character, and she flaunts it and she doesn't care. And oh my god, Western game journalists have been trying to cope and seethe with her existence. It is insane. But they go on to say, and this I don't very much agree with. They say game journalists are obsessed with sex and probably some of them are sex fiends. And honestly speaking, I don't think that that's the case. I think that a lot of these game journalists are people that constantly go at us for pointing out these the depictions of female characters in the West, or our admiration of how the East actually makes female characters cool. A lot of these people are probably projecting when they call us incels. I really think that there's a lot of these people that get none at all, and it shows in their character, especially dudes, man. I don't trust a dude that hasn't managed to get some action in a really long time. I'm just saying, make of that what you will. But a lot of these dudes out here ain't get none, and it affects their personality in some extreme ways. And I really do feel like it is projection when they call individuals such as me an incel. And they go on to say, the day game journalism ends, the world will be a better place. And I completely agree with that, because game journalism is completely idiotic, really, at the end of the day. And they do show just a small, tiny portion of all the really weird articles that do discuss sex and obsess and harp over it. This is just a tiny group out of the many. But I also have to give a shout out to Mugen Lord. Mugen Lord made an awesome video, and I did mention him in one of my previous videos. Him basically bringing up the reality that, yeah, Western video games do uglify women. And definitely check out Mugen Lord on YouTube. I will link his channel in the description below. But he brings up a good point, and this is basically him quote tweeting an individual that apparently was very happy and excited and gives this game a best video game ever award just because, well, yeah, this is going on here. But I digress. And Mugen Lord says it's crazy how everyone is fine with bare sex and all kinds of kinks in Baldur's Gate 3. All I hear about is the sex in the game and not the game itself. But when you just want to have attractive looking females in video games, all of a sudden you're an incel. And this is the hypocrisy that that I'm bringing up here, that I'm calling you hypocrites out on. And it's true. It's like you want to engage in all of this stuff, and if you want to, hey, you do you. But then at the same time, you pass judgment on us for, us pointing out that we would like female video game characters that don't look like trash. Yeah, you're a clown for that. You're entirely a clown for that. And I appreciate Mugen Lord for bringing that up because it is a damn good point. And there was a tweet that this tweet got quote tweeted again. And this individual replied to it, and they said, the Lollipop Chainsaw remake, and I will be making a video about that shortly after this one, but the Lollipop Chainsaw remake coming soon will be the litmus test for all the people praising Baldur's Gate 3's wacky sex and nudity. And obviously, they've already failed this litmus test many a times already. But yeah, they are going to lose their effing minds over this, no doubt. Game journos, if the game isn't heavily censored, who knows? That is still something I haven't questioned, but they will definitely lose their minds over Lollipop Chainsaw because, well, they tend to hate the East when it comes to their depictions of women. I don't know if it's necessarily racism and their disdain, particularly for Japanese depictions of women, or if it's many things. I have to believe it's many things. Racism could be one of them. I don't like to accuse people outright of racism unless I have some genuine proof behind it, but I have to wonder if that's part of it. And they go on to say, if they criticize this game for being gross or problematic or whatever, it's going to be hilarious. And yes, the hypocrisy will be very, very extreme, but they've already exposed how freaking hypocritical they are many a times already before. And this right here, this individual posted the gamer, excuse me, not the gamer, PC gamer, posting an article saying Baldur's Gate 3 is thirsty as hell and I couldn't be happier. And they also go on to say that Baldur's Gate 3 is the horniest RPG I've ever played and I love it. And this person says, I hate how to be that guy, but I will die on the hill that if Baldur's Gate 3 was a Japanese game, the conversation would be so drastically different and negative that it's not even funny. And it's facts, man, because these same journalists absolutely hate Japanese depictions of women. And this other individual goes on to say, it's really true. Final Fantasy 16 barely had any nudity or sex, and it got painted in a negative light so hard that you wouldn't think 90% of the you would think 90% of the game is all about it. There is a bias that if Baldur's Gate 3 type of game was a Japanese game, it would be a more negative reception. And yes, they are basking in Baldur's Gate 3. It happens to be a game made by Western developers, but man, they were dumping on Jill for being a feminine female, for grouping up with Clive and actually working together. They hated that kind of stuff. They definitely hate the depictions of sex in Final Fantasy 16 is definitely a thing that they made a big deal out of. And you have to wonder why. Why? I just would like an answer. And then they continue, and this individual brings up the fact that individuals that are, all about Baldur's Gate 3 right now for the sex. Also the same types that reject this. And this woman tries to justify the hypocrisy. And they say most of Baldur's Gate 3 moments of sexuality are appropriately explored within context. This was a serious moment inappropriately marred with sexual fixation and objectification. We love Miranda, but there's a time and place, and this wasn't it. And there are people that say that, you know, there's a lot of gratuitous sex in Baldur's Gate. So what she's saying is not really being honest. And Matthew here, shout out to this dude, says the reason the sex in Baldur's Gate 3 is culturally acceptable is because everyone is ugly as sin. Someone had to be honest about it. Someone had to be, because yes, the characters are pretty ugly. Admittedly so. And let's just go down the list, man. Article after article on some of these same websites absolutely hate pretty women in video games and these depictions and Eastern depictions of women in video games. They absolutely hate it, but they completely bask in Baldur's Gate 3, man. And we just have to, like, we're just pointing out the absolute hypocrisy all around. And really, like I said, I want to be petty because, well, the pushback that I got for making a genuine, honest video, having a genuine, honest conversation, was met with some really hypocritical, childish, and really ignorant responses from some individuals. But yeah, guys, let me know what you think about all this. If you can, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Follow me over on Twitter or Kick if you'd like to continue the conversation. Really close to 150 followers on Kick. Just hit 2.5 K subs on YouTube. So thank you all so much for that. Really appreciate everything you guys have done for me, even down to just the sub itself or the videos that you guys like. Thank you all so much, man. Had a really fun time on the podcast last night during my live stream. So if you haven't, go check that out. There's definitely a lot of content. And yeah, guys, with all being said, I'm out. Peace.